Aidan Quinn and Courtney Cox seek the meaning of life in Commandments.
And Mike Myers plays a swinging secret agent in Austin Powers' International Man of Mystery.
Jeff?
Kurt Russell and Kathleen Quinlan are stranded in the middle of an ominous situation in Breakdown, one of the 5 new movies we'll review this week on Siskel and Ebert. I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. In that brief opening scene, you saw the setup for Breakdown, in which Kurt Russell and Kathleen Quinlan play a couple from Massachusetts who find themselves stranded in the middle of the southwestern desert in Arizona. They're worried because those rednecks in the pickup truck had earlier threatened them. Now it looks like help and rescue are on the way with a friendly truck driver, played by J.T. Walsh.
I can give you a ride to Bell's, a little diner about 5 miles down the road. They got a payphone. You call a tow truck. They just come in and haul you out.
After the truck pulls off, Russell is able to fix his car, and he drives down the road to the diner where his wife was going to call for help.
Hey, the man here's looking for his wife. Dark hair, got a white button-on sweater. Traveling with a guy with a baseball cap. Has anybody here seen him?
Looks like she got away from you, cowboy.
He can't believe she's disappeared into thin air. Then he sees the same truck again and forces it to pull over.
I think this guy's done something with my wife.
All right, calm down, sir. Tell me what's going on.
I don't know what the hell's going on. Last time I saw her, she was with this guy in his truck.
Officer.
Now he's saying he's never seen her.
Officer, I don't know what he's talking about.
Don't lie, you ignorant bum!
All right, calm down.
The whole area seems wrapped in a conspiracy of silence, and the more he tries to break through it, the more danger he gets himself into.
They're probably watching me right now. They've got police scanners, and the whole town's under surveillance. If I don't walk out of here with...
Excuse me. You the manager?
Yes, I am.
Lady back there said I should see you about a car loan.
Certainly. If you would just take a seat.
Breakdown starts out a little like The Vanishing, that unforgettable 1988 thriller from the Netherlands, not to be confused with the American remake. It almost seems like the man's wife has vanished into thin air. But this is an American thriller in which existential dilemmas are not allowed to last for long before an action situation presents itself. I like the suspense of the early scenes in Breakdown better than the more conventional thriller stuff later in the movie, but the whole film does work very effectively to build up tension with strong, tightly written performances. I did have a problem, though, with a closing scene in which a helpless man is killed. I don't want to say any more without giving away too much, but that scene was gratuitous and unpleasant. I didn't think it was worthy of the rest of the film.
So you're recommending it?
I'm recommending it, except for the final shot.
I'm not. And what I do like about it is that the director does have a way of cutting these scenes together so that they do have individually tension. At the same time, every step of the way, Roger, I'm saying, come on, come on, come on. Another run through on the typewriter, and a lot of the questions that we have about normal behavior could have been handled. And I'm not asking this to be a documentary. I realize it's a movie and it's a popcorn movie, but at the same time, it could have been written a little bit tighter.
You're right about this. The scene in the bank is very badly written and acted, so bad that they had to cut away from it without a conclusion because there was no way they could get out of it, and so that was just bad filmmaking. But in general, I think it does work as a thriller, and I do recommend it on that basis.
I'm thinking it's more along the line of Meryl Streep in The River Wild having trouble in the wilderness, and that picture didn't work at all. Okay, our next film is called Warriors of Virtue, and this is one miserable children's picture in which a child is sucked into a magical whirlpool that transports him to the land of Tao, where he's taught to fight and then help save his tutor and his tutor's tribe from evil. Here we meet the little teenager, played unctuously by Mario Yedida, as he seeks help from a warrior named Yun to recover an ancient book of knowledge.
The manuscript of legend.
You mean you don't have it? Then Komodo must have it.
Yun and 4 other warriors do battle with the film's bad guy, Komodo, and right away I think you can see that Warriors of Virtue is generic junk made for the international action market, a cheap hybrid of Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles. bore you much longer, here's a typical fighting sequence involving the boy and his tutor.
It's Komodo. You should go now. Run!
Where are you going, newcomer?
And I can assure you that more thought went into the financing and distribution and marketing deals for Warriors of Virtue than into its screenplay, and it shows. This movie is worthless.
Not entirely worthless, because the production design is good. It's by Eugenio Zanetti, who did the production design for Restoration and won an Oscar for it. He made a great setting for a stupid story with bad acting. And as far as those kangaroos, the Roo Warriors as they're called, basically when you mention Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers, you've got it. They're generic, you know, future action toys. That's all they are.
That's exactly right. And let me tell you, I loved Restoration, and he deserved an Oscar for it. But this is just more, to me, swamp stuff for the setting of these creatures. It wasn't that special.
Okay, when we come back, Mike Myers is a James Bond clone named Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Mr. Powers. Hello, Mr. Powers. Care to have a little fun? Care to have a little fun?
No, actually, I have to save the world. Question, and be honest.
Oh!
Do I make you horny? Randy?
Do I make you horny, baby? Yeah, do I?
Come on, I hope this is part of the unfreezing process.
That's Mike Myers from Wayne's World as Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery. He's a British secret agent who was frozen in the 1960s, thawed out in the 1990s, and teamed up with an agent played by Elizabeth Hurley, who is not amused by his outdated and sexist language. He has been unfrozen in order to deal with his old enemy, Dr. Evil, also played by Myers. Dr. Evil wants to rule the world, and his right-hand man is played here by Robert Wagner. Like so many Bond movies, this one has a scene set in a casino.
17. Hit me.
You have 17, sir.
I like to live dangerously.
4, 21.
Michael York plays the head of British intelligence, the reasonably named Basil Exposition. He's not prepared for Austin's rampant paranoia.
God, man, what have you done?
That's not your mother, it's a man, baby!
Yeah! Come on! Why won't this wig come off?
The movie's running joke is that Austin is still a sex machine from the 60s and doesn't realize that times have changed.
I shagged her.
What?
I shagged her rotten, baby, yeah.
I don't believe you, Austin. She was repellent.
Saucer of milk table, too.
What, did you use protection?
Of course. I had my 9mm automatic.
Elizabeth Hurley is really very good as the modern liberated agent, and here's one of the movie's best scenes in which the PG-13 rating is very precariously preserved.
Yeah, but you didn't answer my question, Mummy.
I know. Let me just say this. Austin was the most loyal and caring friend I ever had.
And I love just the audacity of the comic timing in that scene. Austin Powers is a very funny movie in its own right, and funny, too, for movie buffs who remember the films of the 1960s. There is a fashion photography scene in this movie where the costumes look so outlandish and bizarre you swear they were designed for laughs until you remember they're exact copies of fashions actually worn in the 1967 movie Blow Up. And we didn't laugh then. I guess our taste has changed. Mike Myers is very funny in both halves of his double role. Elizabeth Hurley is a resilient comic foil, and of course no movie can be all bad that starts right out by ripping off Beyond the Valley of the Dolls.
I thought it was very funny too, Roger. And it's, you know, the way of sending up Bond movies is to try to do what the Zucker Abrahams and Zucker gang did with the airplane and Naked Gun kinds of pictures. That's the standard way, and this is another way. This is as much a tribute. This is really affectionate, and that's what I think. In other words, they really love Bond pictures, even the Matt Helm pictures. This is even a little bit more in that area, more outlandish behavior and trying to be trendy and missing it. It's that sophisticated.
And the neat thing is, it's not just what they've done is they've not only just made fun of the Bond pictures, they've made fun of the 60s.
Right.
And it's tough to make fun of the 60s in a movie set in the 60s. But to come up with this cryogenically frozen protagonist gimmick in order to bring them forward intact for 30 years causes all kinds of funny things
And
to
if anybody
happen.
thinks comedy is easier to do than drama, what Mike Myers does here in playing this character, he risks everything.
Yeah.
He could really look very, very foolish here, and he does look foolish in a funny way.
Oh, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
Okay, coming up next, a team of thieves hijacks a couple of vacationers in Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. Directed by and starring Kiefer Sutherland.
Say we understood.
Put him in the RV.
You guys want to be bad guys, but you don't want to kill anybody. Ray, I think you better really re-examine your commitment to your lifestyle.
If you have a sense of deja vu watching that clip, it might be because it reminds you of one of the most influential films of the 1990s, maybe the most influential, Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, with its shocking violence mixed with unexpected topical humor and adults saying the darndest things. And that scene we just saw now is from the new crime picture Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, which is a little bit better than most Tarantino imitations, but not very. The film begins with vacationers Kevin Pollak and Grace Phillips having their RV commandeered by a team of thieves on the run who have just killed a drug dealer and some cops.
Wait a second. We're not going to say anything.
Gordon, right? Come here. Next time I tell you to do something, Gordon, do it. Because your life means nothing to me. We're bringing you along for protection so we can deal later. You cross me once, your life ends.
The woman ends up talking with the group's most violent member. It's Trigger Man, played by Kiefer Sutherland, who also directed the film. Conversations like this, of course, between vicious killers and regular folks are a major movie conceit now.
How can you be so nonchalant about killing somebody?
It's a game out here. Everybody who plays the game understands the rules. I certainly understand the rules. The cop understands the rules. He's the good guy. I'm the bad guy. It's his job to catch me. It's my job not to get caught.
And predictably, the hostages get into an argument over the way they're relating to the criminals.
Gordon? Is it possible that you admire these people?
No, not admire. They're going to make more this week than I'll make the whole year. I mean,
I can't believe you're saying this.
The destination of the gang is a rendezvous with a generic mob boss played by Rod Steiger. In its own way, the story of Truth or Consequences is as much of a recycling of other better movies as that lousy kids film we just reviewed, Warriors of Virtue.
These drugs belong to me. Do you think I'm going to pay you for something that's already mine? Do you think you could come in here, you son of a... and rip me off and get away with it?
Truth or Consequences New Mexico has a solid cast, but they mostly just walk through their parts, seemingly happy to be in a picture made in the style of what's supposed to be hot these days, but is quickly becoming shop-worn, the pseudo-hip crime picture. Thumbs down from me.
Me too. Boy, there's nothing like the real thing to show up the bad quality of the imitations. And the more you see all of these people trying to be Tarantino, the more you realize why Tarantino really is good.
Or why that was a landmark film.
Yeah, and there's another thing here, too, with Kiefer Sutherland. He was so good as the bad guy in Freeway that here he pales by comparison to himself.
His own work, yeah.
He is not even standing up to comparison to his own work. And so the movie is pretty much of a formula which has been, as you say, put through this kind of process into the kind of pseudo-hip dialogue where they talk about things that are off the map in order to show how colorful they are. And after a while, you say, if it's not done well, it almost always is done very badly.
Okay, when we come back, Aidan Quinn believes God is picking on him in Commandments.
You're going to break the commandments. I am going to break every last one of them until I get an answer.
He goes out his house, and he's even prevented from committing suicide because he's struck by lightning, and the lightning also cripples his dog. Now, this probably sounds like a remake of Joe versus the Volcano, but believe it or not, this movie isn't a comedy. It's serious about its story, and the hero, played by Aidan Quinn, becomes convinced that God is toying with him. In a dream, he relives the horrible day that his pregnant wife drowned. He believes God is rolling the dice against him, but his brother-in-law, played by Anthony LaPaglia, thinks he's a loser, and he's fed up with him.
I break 5 to 6 commandments every day before lunch.
And you know what? I got a beautiful wife. I got a great job and a nice apartment. You see this jacket?
Fetal goat skin. It's the best. Only the best. And what do you got? Nothing.
His only friend is LaPalia's wife, played here by Courtney Cox. She was Quinn's late wife's sister.
You know, Harry cares more about his stupid guitars than he does for me.
You know what you ought to do is gather his guitars together and just throw them out in the street. Throw them out. Give him a chance to focus on what he should be focusing on, which is you.
They fall in love, but he's still not convinced that he's getting a fair break from God.
See what happens in a storm like that is it pushes the clouds so high they become ice crystals. And then they act like prisms and they refract the light and strain it away.
Think it's gonna hit New York?
I don't know. If it wants to.
What the Quinn character decides to do is violate all of the Ten Commandments as sort of a challenge to God. And as you can see there, he gets a pretty good start on adultery. Commandments is an earnest and sincere picture, but a misguided one. No film about a showdown between man and God should get sidetracked with romance. And the ending of the film is right off the map. I was reminded of a movie named The Rapture, which came out in 1991 and starred Mimi Rogers and was about a woman who issues a challenge to God and was so much better than this one. And you were telling me, Gene, they're advertising this movie as a comedy?
Yeah, because I don't think they know what this picture really is. I saw just an ad that said that. I also think if you're going to have a conversation with God, I think the picture that comes to mind immediately, Roger, and yours is a good one, The Rapture, but how about Breaking the Waves?
Yes.
In taking this subject seriously, I did not know what this picture was really about. I couldn't believe it. And if you want to get into the Ten Commandments, then you begin to think of
7, for example, or the 7 deadly sins.
You can think of 7, or you can think of Decalogue if you want to think Kieslowski's film. I mean, this is heavy-duty material that they're playing with, and the conviction is in the screenplay is not there. Coming up next, my video pick of the week: a better Trouble on the Highway picture than Breakdown, in my opinion, from the world's most successful filmmaker.
I gave you the road, why don't you take it?
Breakdown with Kurt Russell, which we reviewed earlier on the show, I couldn't help but think of a better film on the same subject: danger lurking in wide open highway spaces. And that's why Steven Spielberg's film Duel is my video pick of the week. Duel was made for television by Spielberg in 1971, and it's this picture that got him noticed and allowed him to graduate to theatrical features. It's the story of a threatening presence on an open road, an unseen truck driver who has it in for motorist Dennis Weaver.
Well, it's about time, Charlie.
Film essentially is the art of montage of editing sequences together, and look how the intensity of this sequence is built. Has been voted the best made-for-television movie ever made, and what Spielberg did here is the same sort of thing he would do again in Jaws: take a familiar fear and exploit it for classic entertainment value. I do recommend renting Duel over Breakdown. Duel, my video pick of the week. Now let's recap the movies we reviewed on this show. We split on Breakdown, an enthusiastically directed bit of highway escapism that for me had just too many plot holes to be convincing. Roger Avver was won over by the performances. 2 thumbs down, way down for the generic children's action picture, Warriors of Virtue. That's what Roger and I feel like when we warn you about films like this, Warriors of Virtue. 2 thumbs up, however, for the cheery, sometimes hilarious comedy Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery, with Mike Myers in a James Bond and Swingin' London spoof. 2 thumbs down for Kiefer Sutherland's Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, a pale copy of the iconoclastic spirit of Pulp Fiction. And finally, 2 thumbs down for Commandments, a film that talks about the Ten Commandments, but not very seriously.
So Austin Powers is a real entertaining picture, and I think Breakdown really does work as a thriller.
I would say Austin Powers, and that's the title that won't leap off the television ads or something. That's the picture to check out.
Okay, that's it for this week. Next week we'll be back with reviews of more new movies, including Father's Day, starring Robin Williams and Billy Crystal as 2 guys who both think they fathered a child by Nastasia Kinski. And also The Fifth Element, starring Bruce Willis as a 23rd century cab driver enlisted in a struggle to save the world. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.
One plant